One of the more confounding aspects of the presidency of Donald Trump has been the trade war that he cultivated with China. Remember how weird and self-destructive it all seemed? He would keep raising tariffs in a way that seemed to endanger the thing that he was most worried about, the thing that he viewed as his biggest weapon of re-election, the so-called Trump economy. And he'd raise tariffs, and then everyone would forecast the tariffs would hurt growth, maybe even knock the U.S. into recession. Stock markets would sink, and people would ask, what are you doing? And sure, it could have just been that he believes in a very simple notion of trade as zero sum, doesn't really understand tariffs. He's certainly given reason to think that. But I always had a theory in the back of my mind. The whole thing was a kind of setup where Trump would escalate the trade war, but then he would cut a trade deal in the run-up to the election in 2020 that he thought would then take the parking brake off the economy and send it zooming into election day. Well, the new book from the president's opportunistic and utterly terrible former national security advisor, John Bolton, a book you should not buy, basically confirms that it was a setup. This was his strategy all along. According to the book, Trump asked Chinese President Xi Jinping to buy more soybeans and wheat from the U.S. because that would help with voters in the Midwest and could ensure his victory. In exchange for helping him win, the president told the Chinese leader he would lift the tariffs. Almost a kind of, like a kind of quid pro quo, if you will. The president leveraging U.S. policy to try to get a foreign leader to help him win, which is the exact same thing he was impeached for. He did it with Ukraine, and now it appears he did it with China, too. Also, think about the timing here. Trump wanted the trade deal ahead of his re-election, which meant he had given away all his leverage because, of course, the Chinese knew that, right? Trump was desperate. He was so desperate for it, according to John Bolton, that last year he offered to reverse criminal prosecution against Chinese company Huawei, a company we feared could use its technology to spy on us if it would help in that trade deal. The president still did not have the big trade deal he wanted to help him get reelected. And so, while China was playing down and outright covering up the danger of the coronavirus at the start of the year, Trump was publicly praising China's handling of the virus.
I think China is very, professionally run in the sense that they have everything under control. I really believe they are going to have it under control fairly soon. In April, supposedly, it dies with the hotter weather, and that's a beautiful date to look forward to. But China, I can tell you, is working very hard.
February 10th, he said that. Now, if what Bolton wrote is true, and I don't know if it is, it sure looks like Trump misled the public about the coronavirus early on in pursuit of a corrupt deal with a foreign power for his own re-election. Further evidence, Donald Trump simply cannot separate his own personal interest from the interests of the country. It is his core character defect as president. It is now at the core of our current ongoing national disaster. We're going to talk about that next.